Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Nadisha. So the topic for today is, does God send a replacement spouse for you? If the spouse he had promised you years ago is not complying, does he send a replacement? Does God change his mind, basically? Um you know this is a tricky topic. I've delayed speaking on this topic for a long time because it's like, I've mentioned that a lot of us is in the same season. And so when I tell you this is a touchy topic for myself, yeah, because I've asked the Lord for a replacement numerous times. I'm like, Lord, just send someone else. I am not attached to your choice. I am not attached to your promise. I am not attached to it. First of all, when I asked you, okay, I remember exactly where I was, and I said, Lord, I want you to choose my spouse. Please choose my spouse for me, because, when I do it, it doesn't work out. So you do it. And God is like, okay, I got you. And then he said, this is the person I have for you. And I'm like, you're kidding. No, you're kidding, right? You're kidding. There's no way, right? No, seriously. You're not kidding? You're serious. You did not make a mistake. You did not send the wrong mail to the wrong address. This is who you truly have for me. Oh my gosh. This is bad. This is really bad. No, you expect me to marry this individual? Are you insane? That's a little bit of my story, okay? I was like, so because of that, God is the one who chose my spouse. So I'm not attached. I wasn't attached to his promise. I'm like, no, let's send a replacement, since I'm not attached to your promise. And, nobody will know. Nobody will know. They won't know. How are they going to know? They won't know. God is like, no, I'm not changing my mind. My promise still remains. I can't even tell you how many times God have told me. He's like, my promise still remains. 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 And I'm like, I don't like that. Nope. I don't. I really don't. But yeah, he has said his promise still remains. His promise still stands. So based on scriptures, it says right here. In Numbers 23, verse 19, it says, God is not human that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? I have received a command to bless. He has blessed and I cannot change it. And Isaiah 46 verse 10, it says, I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times what is still to come. I say my purpose will stand and I will do all that I please. You know what I mean? God sees God is the beginning and the end. He knows the end from the beginning. So why would he bother to promise you someone that he knew wasn't going to comply? If he's a God that sees the end, right? He knows the outcome. He knows what's going to happen in the end. And if he knew that your person wasn't going to comply, if he knew that your person was going to keep running, if he knew that your person was going to stay away from you, why bother tell you? Okay, so this may be some of the reason why he would bother to tell you. He bothers to tell you because it kept you grounded. And if you were to look at your life and look at your situation, you knew it kept you grounded, because God didn't promise you a husband or a wife. He promised you a specific person. Okay, that's the difference. You know, he promised you a specific person. So what that means is, if he promises you Tim and he promises you Bertha, if you ain't dating Tim or Bertha, you shouldn't be dating. Okay. You know, because he's like, well, I didn't, these are the people I have for you, and it kept you grounded. And even if God had promised you someone, and because they didn't comply or they weren't complying, you decide to go date other people, you probably didn't date half as much as you would had you not had that promise. Okay. You probably have spent a lot of time not dating because you weren't dating those individuals. So God would allow you, God would give you a promise of a specific person, even if they weren't ready for you, simply because he wanted you to focus on you. Okay. He didn't want you to spend all that time and energy out there dating other people he knew that you weren't going to be in a relationship with for long anyways. So I think that's some of the reasons why God will give us a promise and give us a vision, to keep us stable, to keep us grounded. God wanted us to work on ourselves. So, and yeah, having that promise made you better, didn't it? It made you go after your dreams. You probably lost a bunch of weight. It made you focus so much on yourself, learn how to do things you didn't know to do. You probably traveled and did some stuff. Okay. It made you better. So having the vision and having the promise was helpful and beneficial to you. Okay. But why bother to tell you something that he knew wasn't going to come through? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me, because we need to be able to trust God. We needed to be able to trust in the things he says. If he says you are the head, not the tail, he says you're the lender, not the borrower, we need to be able to stand on those promises. We need to be able to believe in that. Okay? When God promised Sarah and Abraham a son, what if he was like, what if Abraham was like, hey, Lord, I thought you promised me a son. And he's like, I did? Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. You know what I mean? I totally forgot. No, God doesn't forget. He doesn't forget. And okay, and Abraham and Sarah, they did their thing with Hagar and they produced Ishmael, right? And I love the part in the Bible where Abraham said, well, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. So, okay, Abraham and Sarah, they took matters into their own hands, right? After God had promised them a son of their own flesh and bones, right? They took matters in their own hands and they produced Ishmael, right? And basically, Abraham is basically holding Ishmael and say, hey, bless him instead. And God is like, I'll bless him. I'll give him a little blessing, but no, I have a promise for you. I'm promising you a son. And Sarah is going to be mother of many nations. She is going to birth this individual. Okay. So God still had a promise for them. And they didn't forfeit their promise. Despite going out there and doing their own thing, they did not forfeit the promise, because Isaac was still he was born. They birthed Isaac, and God was able to bless him as well. You know what I mean? So I don't think you can forfeit your promise, and I don't believe that God changes his mind, because we need to be able to stand on his promises. And if we can't stand on his promises, then we can't trust him, and he wants us to trust him. Everybody has that one friend who, always cancels and always say one thing and do the other. What? It makes you not able to trust them as much, right? Because they're wishy-washy. 1 minute they're over there, 1 minute they're over there. They don't stand on their promises. And we can't trust people who don't hold true to their promises. So that's why God holds true to his promises, because he wants us to put our faith in him and put our trust in him. You know what I mean? So I don't believe that God changes his mind. If he knew that your person wasn't going to comply, why bother to tell you? And to me, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, say your person has free will, like they all say, right? And they chose to continue running, and they're like, no, I'm not going to do it. I think in your obedience, God will bless you. God will bless you with someone. So either way, you're going to win. You're going to win. You know what I mean? But I truly don't believe that God sees an ending you don't see, and that's why you have to trust him. And if your person isn't complying and isn't on board right now, it's because it's not time. Does that make sense? So that's why I am constantly encouraging you guys to listen to what God is telling you to do, and do that. Okay? Listen to the things he's telling you to do for you, for his kingdom, while you're single. That could be anything. He probably wants you to work on some more things about you. Okay? Because God knows when you bring two people together, you bring two young people together, y'all gonna produce babies and things. And then, when are you gonna have time to write that book? When are you gonna have time to start that business? When you have he blesses you with triplets. So that's why your singleness is a gift. That's why this is the time you need to work on you, but if you ever felt like you can't walk away necessarily, or that you can't walk away from the promise, maybe because it's just not time. You know what I mean? So it's hard. This journey is not for the weak. I'm telling you, it's not for the weak. But you got to trust that God has your best interest in hand. And if you're not seeing anything yet, it's because God still has a plan. He's gonna work it out. He's gonna work it out for you. He's gonna work it out for you. He's gonna let him work it out. Do what only you can do, and let him do what only he can do. Okay, please take this to the Lord. Ask for clarity. Ask him to confirm some stuff. Bring everything to him and let him clear it up. Let him bring clarity to you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.